Hello, everyone. This is Mika again from College Coaching Network. We are here today with a social learning live that's kind of out of the box. With us, we have Dr. Marion Pearson with us, and of course, Clyde, our founder and CEO. We are coming out today because we want to talk about a hot topic and an event that is going on in our community. So I'm going to turn it over to Clyde so that he can share the juicy details.
Yeah, definitely. It's been a while since we've been on Social Learning Live, so we're excited about making sure we have more topics as we continue to grow and build our brand. But one of the things that I talked to Mika about earlier today is we want to stay relevant. When there was a situation in the past that came out where there was social injustice, we came out and we spoke about that, and we wanted to talk about the voice of equality. We didn't want to talk about the left side or the right side. We stay out of politics, but College Coaching Network is all about uplifting everyone. So today, we want to definitely highlight Dr. Pearson because there's some people we talked about off camera that they're definitely all in on the vaccination. I won't go into where I stand because I don't want to sway the person left or right. There's some people that don't want to be vaccinated. And then there's some people that are still kind of undecided. And so today we wanted to kind of highlight some general information with your expertise today, not trying to sway a person left or right, but just to educate people on some things that they can do to maybe enlighten themselves with more research. So my first question over to you, Dr. Pearson, is if I was a person that I didn't know still going through this pandemic, which seems like it's never going to end, can you give us just a little bit of information about what you think is a great place to start to do research to learn more about vaccinations, the pandemic, what have you?
Well, first of all, thank you for having me. I think the more conversations like this that go on, the more confident people become about the choices they're making around their health. And so hopefully this will be one more conversation that adds to that confidence as people are trying to really make health decisions for themselves. And this is truly a health decision, not a political statement, a health decision. So I appreciate the question. First and foremost, I try to unpack the doing my research, and instead I try to encourage people to think about exploring the data and exploring the facts and gathering information. Because doing research is different. Internet searches aren't doing my research, but internet searches can help us collect data and gather facts and collect information. And I think that's what everyone should do. So I think people should start collecting data from good, reputable sources like our local health departments, like our local university health systems, which most big cities, just like Kansas City area, has one or two or a few. And sometimes as you collect the data and the facts and the information, you'll start formulating questions. And again, then you can start thinking about who are the researchers in this area, because I think people are using the word collecting data and facts and research as the same thing, and they're not necessarily the same thing. Researchers are doing a lot of comparative analysis and pulling out multiple studies done in multiple sites, reproduced over different time. And what I think most people are using as the research statement is really just information gathering. And so collect great information from great sources like health departments, local universities, and the Center for Disease Control, Department of Health and Human Services. That, as you collect information, will sometimes help you form questions to then pose to your medical providers. And I think that's a good place to start.
I love the way that you said to get the data, but then also understand the facts. And because we've seen so much, especially like during political times, right? You see fake news, you have people that have their own agenda and they kind of post, this, that, and the other. And so I want to kind of maybe make my final question on kind of hitting on what you said, but actually there's a two-part question. So if a person's not doing research, but getting data and also making sure that they have the facts, would it be safe to not only get the data and the facts for the coronavirus, but to also look at the trends that may have happened with previous pandemics that we've been through as a nation? I don't know if that's something that you do a comparison, or is that going down a rabbit hole?
Well, I think what you're saying really is helpful. I think sometimes when we look at things just through a very narrow lens, it's hard to make a determination on what feels best for your own health decisions. But when we look at our healthcare, especially in a broader sense, including things that have happened historically, it does help us feel more confident in the decisions we make. I know people say, well, history hasn't always been kind when it comes to people of color in the healthcare system. And that is true too. But we also know that there have been some significant ways that our health has benefited all people, including people of color, when we do things to safeguard our health. And so there are plenty of examples historically that are evidence based, not just somebody said something, but here's the evidence that when we do certain things, we can improve our health. And so you want to look at everything. Yes, the good, the bad, the current, and the historic.
So what they say, you don't understand your future until you first are willing to take a look at the past, right? So, um, and so my last question is, as we gather the facts and we look at the data, and now we ask ourselves these important questions that don't deal with anybody else but us, right? This decision does not have anything to do with your cousin, your niece, your nephew. Now, you may take those things in and they're part of how you make your final decision, but the decision that you make is totally going to affect you, right? And so when we get to a place of asking questions, you're saying that we can talk to our local doctors. Like, how do we? This is a left field question, so I'm sorry, but it's hitting me off the spot. If we're asking this question to a doctor, and the doctor is a proponent on the left side or the right side, how do you ask that question to a person that is somewhat non-biased, even though that person is biased? If that makes any sense, what I'm saying. Because I'm done. That's my last question.
So I don't know exactly how to answer, but I'll take a stab at it. So first of all, I think one of the critical pieces that the pandemic has illustrated is it is important for all communities, and then I'm going to speak specifically about communities of color, um, to really find and locate, identify, and stay connected to health resources you trust, right? So, as someone's personal physician, which I am, have the privilege to be the personal physician of lots of families, I'm not walking up to them as a stranger saying, go get a COVID vaccine. I'm continuing a relationship that we've had, hopefully, of trust, mutual trust and respect. Hopefully, that's why we're in a doctor patient relationship, because we respect the relationship. Then I can bring out this next piece of conversation, right? So when I have a conversation like, I really hope you uh, consider getting vaccinated against COVID-19. Again, that person knows that historically, I'm not ready to do or wanting to do anything that would harm their health, and that I'm aggressively trying to protect their health. So again, they now recognize where I'm coming from when I make that statement. Again, the part of mutual respect that I have with my patients, and hopefully a relationship that everyone can get in, is that if they said, well, Dr. Pearson, that's not what I feel comfortable with, I'd like more information about this or that, I respect that and recognize that my perspective comes from a medical person who studies disease all the time. And so I make a recommendation based on that field, and that their reaction, response, or decision may be based on other things. And I have to respect that too. But again, I think first and foremost, people have to find a medical provider that they can trust and be in relationship with. And then when recommendations come down, no matter what they are, and there will be others beside the COVID-19 vaccine, then you have a place to go in that relationship to question, to trust, and then to move forward.
I'm gonna pass it over to you, Mika. But what you just said is universal. I mean, it's not just dealing with the pandemic, but it's also dealing with systemic racism, or the list goes on, right? If there is a relationship, if there's trust, we as a culture, as a people, as society, can get through anything.
For sure. For sure.
Right. So I'll pass. Thank you, because I think what you said, you got to. And when I talk about, when you talk about get the data, not do the research, get the data, and also get the facts. That's an important question that you have to ask yourself. Not you, but I'm talking about whoever's listening to us. You have to ask yourself: do I trust my physician?
Yes.
Do I have a relationship with my physician? Because if you can't check those two boxes, when you get ready to go in there to ask some questions, I mean, I'm done. Mika, I'll pass it over to you.
I agree. So I definitely appreciate you joining us today, Dr. Pearson, and giving your professional advice on it. I love, 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 and appreciate that you made the stance and statement that every person needs to be able to have that personalized conversation with their physician. And then, of course, doing your own research, because people having the power to make their own choice and feel as though that they have someone that has their best interest at heart is really where I think that a lot of people are right now, because there is swarms and swarms of different information out there, right? So being able to make an informed decision with your health professional is definitely something that we definitely feel like everyone should have an option to do. So, Clyde, if you don't have any additional questions, I don't, I don't have any. I want to thank you again for joining us, and of course, we did also want to let everyone know about the event that is going on. Make sure I get the information correct. It is going on at the W.E.B. Du Bois Learning Center at 4510 East Linwood Boulevard in Kansas City, Missouri, starting Tuesday, October the 12th from 2 to 5. And we'll, of course, make sure more information is available. But again, have those conversations with your healthcare provider, do your research, and make an informed decision for you and your family.
Facts and data. Facts and data.
Facts and data. Yes.